Sneakers and Cleats, the podcast.
Welcome back to the Sneakers and Cleats podcast. It is Monday, September 1st. This is episode 222. Chuck McKinnon, Matt Roy, alongside. Happy Labor Day to everybody. This is a special holiday edition. All of us are here, so why not do a podcast?
It is Labor Day, so we are therefore putting the labor.
We are laboring
into Labor Day.
A labor of love, as this podcast always is. Chuck, how was the weekend?
Labor pains.
Whoa. Okay. How was the weekend, Chuck? You have a good day? You have a
yes,
good
I
Saturday,
did.
Sunday?
I did.
What do you, I mean,
free of incident.
Free of incident.
Yeah.
It was a fun weekend of college football. A lot of really, really good games, including actually, I don't know if it was a great game in Texas and Ohio State. It was great.
Boring. It was a boring game.
It was great for Bob.
I'm glad Ohio State won.
Yeah, it was great for Bob. But UTSA, Texas A&M was good for about three quarters, and then kind of got away from them. Alabama was on the ropes all day and ended up losing to Florida State. I don't know who saw that one coming. I had Florida State plus 14. But besides that, a lot of really, really good games. We'll go over all of it, which teams impressed us in the UTSA and Texas A&M games. Did we overhype the Longhorns and Arch Manning? We'll talk about all that. Plus, it was about 4 hours after we logged off of the podcast in which Micah and the Cowboys broke the internet and got traded to the Packers. We ended the podcast saying, do we think Micah's going to get traded? Both of us agreed no. And then sure enough, what do we know? 5 hours later, 4 or 5 hours later.
We weren't quite as off as Michael Irvin, moments before it happened.
He was. That was really funny. He was on NFL
It
Live,
was.
like literally 2 minutes before the news broke, saying he will not get traded. Jerry's not that dumb. And then sure enough. So we'll go over all that, the insides of that trade, how it and we'll listen to some Jerry Jones, some of Micah's former teammates now, Dak and Osa Odigizua, and hear from Micah himself a little bit. So plus DaRon Bland benefited from all this. He gets the contract extension yesterday. So
get me paid.
So now they have two overpriced corners who can't stay on the field, but we'll get to that in a second. So we'll skip the area code 222 because there is no area code 222. That's the second one in a row. There is a 223 though, so I looked that up for Thursday. So we'll start with Micah Parsons. Wow, Micah gets traded for 2 firsts and Kenny Clark. Kenny Clark is a 9-year vet up at defensive tackle. He is a 3-time Pro Bowler, and so really good piece kind of up front. Didn't have a really great year last year. Was hurt for most of it. Well, let's hear from Jerry first on this, and then we'll hear from Micah, and then we'll kind of chat about it. So let's hear from Jerry.
We have a chance to get a minimum of 3, and it could very easily be as many as 5. Really top players. And you got to look at 3 to 5 to 1 over who's going to help you win the most. And it was strictly that. We have the highest paid player in the NFL at quarterback. And we made that commitment last year, and we're proud we made it. It had everything to do with this decision. Everything. It is give us every opportunity with Dak Prescott and Lamb and the base that we've got to win now. The fact that we have Dak, we need to stop the run. We really do. We need to get the ball back.
So, Chuck, before we hear from Micah, give me your synopsis on this trade, because it was something that kind of seemed like it was building for a long time, and then none of us really accepted the reality and read the tea leaves correctly of Micah was actually going to get traded. We all thought not going to get traded. Jerry will fold, as he always does, and this time it seemed a little bit different now.
A complete pivot from what we have seen here from Jerry Jones in recent memory. So 100% completely shocked. I don't know that I'm over the shock of this yet. It still hasn't quite sunk in. It probably will after we see, Micah in number 1 gear in Green Bay and Kenny Clark doing his thing, whatever number he's wearing with the Dallas Cowboys. Is it 96 or 95? I don't know. I'm already confused.
I think it's 96.
So fascinating thing to watch this all unfold the way it did. To me, it was really more about Jerry at one point offering him a very lucrative deal. If you listen to what Jerry has said in the past, It would have made him the highest paid non-QB in the league. And yet somehow we still got this result. So I'm not really sure what happened in the interim in terms of where this thing went completely south. Was it a matter of Micah and his agent trying to get as much money as they possibly could to force the Cowboys' hand on this one? But here we are.
If you read between the tea leaves of what Jerry said, and I listened to the full presser, I listened to all of what Micah said and Gutekunst and LaFleur and Shoddy. I listened to everything. It sounded to me like Jerry was offended and taken aback by the negotiating tactics of David Mulligetta and Micah Parsons. He says he negotiated everything with Micah. They had a deal. Steven looked it over and modified it a little bit. Then they went back to Micah with a contract, and Micah accepted the terms. And then said, send it to my agent. And David Mulligetta was like, all right, cool. We have a starting point. And so it seems to me like Jerry was taken aback and almost out negotiated, I guess, by these guys, because per the CBA, you have to negotiate with the agent. You can't negotiate with the player, especially if they don't want it. And so when Micah did that, then Jerry was like, F you, I'm not negotiating again. We just negotiated this contract. It's done. It's a done deal. At least in Jerry's mind it was. So it seems like, and Jerry basically said as much, that once that happened, they were like, we're not negotiating again.
And, there's some that believe that maybe you weren't ever going to be able to pay all three, although I don't necessarily agree with that too, because it sounds like they were going to be able to make this deal happen, at least in terms of favorability towards the Cowboy camp. Obviously, it didn't work ultimately for Micah and David Mulligetta. So I don't know, man. I'm still having a hard time wrapping my head around this one.
Yeah, I mean, and Jerry's comparing this to the Herschel Walker trade and how that basically revitalized the entire franchise, the move that Jimmy Johnson made or Jerry Jones made. We don't know.
Right.
We don't know who actually made it. It's not the same, because you're getting, in that trade, they got 5 players back, cut all of them, and got 5 draft picks, ended up drafting all pros. But they haven't been great at drafting in the last few years, especially in the first round. When you look at Mozzie Smith, when you look at Taco Charlton, when you look at some of the busts that they've had. And they also, except when they draft offensive linemen, they always hit on offensive linemen in the first round. But you also don't get as many picks, and you're getting Kenny Clark. Kenny Clark is a pretty highly paid player already, $26 million a year for the next 2. Actually, he only makes 1.25 for the Cowboys this year because the Packers had already paid him.
Yeah.
And so
$32 million of dead cap space in Green Bay.
Yeah. So the Packers invested everything they could into this, it feels like. And they gave Micah Parsons $47 million a year, which is $6 million more per year than any other non-quarterback ever in the history of the league. So when you look at the deal on face value, it's definitely not the same as the Herschel Walker trade. You're not getting as much back, I don't think, in a deal like this, but you are getting 2 firsts and you're getting Kenny Clark. So I don't believe those comparisons. And then there's also people that have the belief that Micah forced his way to a certain spot. And this is what Micah had to say when he was asked that at his presser.
No, I didn't have any say. It was just, I would say I'm pretty lucky because I understand the rich history of the Packers and the fact that they had interest in me, and understand that they had a pretty tough team already in the NFC, and I was pretty much geared up, ready to play them, looking for revenge. But now I'm on the other side of adding to this rich history and being able to play with these guys and suit up and, play. I'm very excited.
I think we were all also a little surprised because usually when someone is seeking a trade, the news will come out that the Cowboys have allowed David Mulligetta to negotiate with other teams because you need to be able to do that since you are still under contract with the Cowboys. So usually those things will leak out, but this time it didn't leak until the deal was already done.
Depends on who you're looking at Twitter, right?
Right.
Like Dr. Feelgood. Dr. Feelgood 3 weeks ago was talking about this. I won't say what the rest of his name is on there because this is a kid's show. But so you take it with an eye on assault, right? But then the day before, Dr. Feelgood came out and said, hey, my little community's pretty tight and the wives are talking and this is a done deal. And then boom, it ends up hitting. So yeah, I thought that was a little fascinating on this one, that the Adam Schefters of the world weren't necessarily out on the fore in terms of breaking little tidbits of information.
Well, Jerry in his press conference also thanked the media for leaking out that they were open to trading now, because so you have to kind of see like what is the information, who does it benefit, because then you can usually lead back to exactly where it's coming from. That obviously came from the Cowboys, that they were open to making a trade now of Micah Parsons, that they were now fully taking offers, when the stance was for a long time, and Jerry said publicly, Steven said publicly, Shoddy said publicly, that they weren't trying to trade Micah. Then, of course, a couple days before the trade, it leaks out, okay, they're willing to listen now. And Jerry literally thanked the media for it during his press conference.
Yeah, I mean, Mike Florio had something the night before the trade, but basically reverting back to Dr. Feelgood's tweet, which to me, I don't think Mike Florio makes stuff up. So I thought, he probably heard something and then was able to maybe tie in Dr. Feelgood in case he wasn't wrong, talking about essentially that there was some smoke around this fire with Dr. Feelgood.
I can't help but laugh with the amount of times you've said Dr. Feelgood.
Not just a Motley Crue song. Yes.
I can't keep a straight face. Anyway, what are your thoughts on the compensation for him? So Kenny Clark, no matter how this went down, you get Kenny Clark, you get 2 firsts. On the other side of things, which are probably going to be late firsts now that you look at it, and the Packers historically love their draft picks. They do not trade first-round picks. They do not trade second-round picks often. They love having their draft picks. They always build through the draft because they're not a free agent destination. So they always build through the draft, and they hold on to those like gold. So now you see them trading 2 firsts. You see them make Micah Parsons the highest paid non-quarterback in the history of the league by a significant margin. I don't think they needed to give him $47 million a year, but sure enough, they gave it to him. And you see them getting rid of a defensive tackle. So when you look at what the Packers invested into this and what the Cowboys got back, what does it make you think when it comes to the compensation for the deal?
I'm fascinated by initially the reaction was, Jerry's an idiot. How can he do this? Blah, blah, blah. But yeah, as you wait over time, over a couple of days, you see the benefits of how this can really help the Cowboys, right? I mean, from their perspective, they've got 2 extra first-round picks.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll have 2 this year, 2 next year, assuming they don't trade any one of those picks in the here and the now to try to better the team that they have this season. So if you just play the safe route with those extra first-round picks, you can essentially get, in the next 2 years, really good, without having to really reach too far, offensive linemen that you can have basically penciled in for the next 3 or 4 years, right? So you've already got a pretty good core of young offensive linemen. So if you're talking about what you could do up front, and then maybe you can reach a little more with those upper picks. So they've really set themselves up nicely for next year and the year after. I think the concern for Cowboy fans is, what are we going to do in the here and the now? This year, there's still 17 games to play before we get to that point.
What they've said a lot over the last few days, and I guess I really didn't think about it, was how they love how deep they are at the position, between Donovan Ezeraku, who they just drafted this year, between DeMarvion Overshown probably coming back at some point this year, between Fowler and Maris Leafau, and all the guys that they like on the edge and at the linebacker position. I guess I really didn't realize how much they loved all those guys, because you have to feel comfortable with your pass rush if you're going to get rid of Micah Parsons.
Yeah, and I think too, Sam Williams is a huge wild card in this. If he stays healthy, I think they know they've got a really, really talented football player. The problem has been, to this point, him just staying healthy. But I mean, that guy's a beast.
He's wrecked a lot of practices in training camp.
Yeah, and he's wrecked a lot of games in the short sample size that we've seen so far. So, early on in his career, because he would jump off sides and they would really hold him to that, or he'd have a penalty that they didn't like and they felt like it was actually hurting him. So if you weigh the totality, if he can just eradicate some of that stuff, I mean, I really, really, really like that guy as a player.
I'll be honest with you. I liked the trade. I liked that they traded Micah away. I really did. As soon as I saw it, I was like, that's a smart move. And the way that they did it, what they said in the press conference, I don't love the antics that come around with the Cowboys, but just looking at it at face value, I love what they did, because you get 2 first-round picks. You get Kenny Clark, who they're run defense is just dog crap, and it has been for years. And so you finally get a space eater that can help you in the middle, who is not bad, and he's not as good as he once was, but he's as good once as he ever was. And you get him to start, and then you also get the 2 first-round picks to help you build. But even more so, even more important, you don't have $47 million on your cap. If they paid him 45, let's just say 45. If they paid him 45 plus CD's money, plus Trayvon's money, plus Dak's money, that's like 60% of your cap. You are so hamstrung for the next few years just because you paid your top 3 players. And yes, you have to pay your best players. What you want to do when you draft is you hope that they develop into a Micah Parsons. You hope that you're drafting the next Micah or the next Dak or the next CD, but you can't pay them all at the same time. You can't have the highest paid quarterback in the league, the 3rd highest paid wide receiver in the league, and the highest paid non-quarterback in the league. That's just not how you build a football team. So I like that they traded him for all of those factors. Now they're saying, could we use some of these first-round picks to trade for another player? It's like, why'd you get the first then? That doesn't make any sense. So, I mean, but at face value, I love what they did. I love getting rid of Micah, even though it sucks for a fan base that loves Micah Parsons.
Yeah, I mean, and there's nothing not to like about Micah as a football player, right? And I think this trade benefits both teams. From the Packers' perspective, this will be the 3rd year in a row that, at least on paper this year, they're expected to be a pretty decent football team. But they're also going to be the youngest team in the league for a 3rd year in a row. And for everything that they have, which is a multitude of really good players, they have very few difference makers that are either, they may have them, but those guys aren't usually healthy. So the Packers took a huge swing trying to get a guy who's a proven difference maker. And then they've also got the cap space, at least in theory, to pull something like this off. But, you know, the difference makers are few and far between in this league. That's why they get paid. And that's why the cap for every team breaks down. I think it's, 66% of the players are making just about damn near all the money, like 90-something percent of the money. So, those numbers are actually better in terms of the really good players. And I'm getting it all confused in my own head. But the bottom line is the Packers have not been good drafting in the first round either. So I think from the Packer fan perspective, what the hell? Who cares if we're missing the 2 first-round picks? I mean, even their best defensive player, Jaron Cooper, was a middle-round guy that they got out of Texas A&M. So, Kenny Clark's a really good player, and they're going to miss him, but he's also a guy that's going to be 30 the first week of October, and his production is declining, and they needed to try to find something that's going to put them in the conversation with, some of the teams, even in their own division, like Detroit.
Let's hear from my teammates and how they were a little bit surprised about the trade.
Definitely sucks. You know what I mean? But just trying to focus on the positives. Like I said, bro, like what he's able to do with his for his family, with the money that he's getting, and then just being paid what he deserves to be paid. You know what I mean? So just focusing on that. I was not expecting it at all, but, kind of is the nature of the business. You never know.
Definitely didn't think he was going to get traded. I'll say that. But just with the way that their negotiations went down, obviously, to some extent, I mean, hell, y'all were asking me questions. It seemed like it got personal on their ends. So that's why I wasn't surprised. We added a great player. Obviously got some picks for the future. I'm not going to say we're better. We've got to go out there and prove it. We'd have to prove it even if he was on this team. So I'm not going to say that by any means. But I know adding a guy like Kenny Clark, adding a true leader, a real man that's going to only elevate this team, who's been a Pro Bowl player, and is excited about being here. I know our focus right now is Philly. I think that's everybody's focus in that locker room. I don't think anybody's hung up on that. As I said, there was enough news and enough media about it. I think as much as anything, it's good that a solution happened.
I don't want to make too much out of what Dak said, but it's hard not to, because all I heard was Kenny Clark, a proven leader, a real man. Now, you could say, well, yeah, Kenny Clark is a real man. I mean, he's a big banging dude, right? There's no doubt about that. But the proven leader thing is, I think, ultimately what entered this conversation probably threw this thing towards moving the direction it did, which was trading Micah to Green Bay. You know, I've said this before. I think I've even said it here. You know, in Micah's time in Dallas, you know, I usually like to go up for at least one mini camp, one OTA, get to a ball game or two during the course of the year. So I would say, you know, my time around Micah, which includes small talk, has probably been 12 to 15 times over the course of his time in Dallas. And I love talking to him. I feel like he's a real down-to-earth dude. I feel like he's thought of his path in terms of point A to point Z, and it's already been plotted out. He's super intelligent. He's a hell of a ball player. There's a lot of things about him that in my own personal interactions I've enjoyed, and I'm sure going to miss having him in the locker room this year, because to me, that was one of the first guys I would go to every time, because you know exactly what you're going to get. He's going to straight shoot you and tell you exactly what he thought of the ball game in a way that's not common with a lot of guys that can really cool down in 10 minutes. Micah can, and then tell you exactly what's on his mind. Having said that, I never once, not one time in that locker room, practice and or game situation, did I ever see Micah walk into a locker room with another player and walk out of to the locker room with another player. I don't know what that means. It may mean absolutely nothing, but I just don't know how much a part of this family unit that he actually was to some degree.
I think if you couple what Dak said with the reports that Dak was frustrated about Micah's podcast, you can probably read in between the lines on those things. So I think that goes to your point. Last thing on the Cowboys real quick, Micah being traded opens up a lot of cash. Cash goes right into DaRon Bland's pocket, probably Tyler Smith's pocket as well. So DaRon Bland gets a 4-year, $92 million deal. I believe that was the 5th or 6th highest paid corner in the entire league now. So the Cowboys are really relying on who they think can be difference makers on the defensive side of the ball when it comes to their corners. Trayvon Diggs, highly paid corner coming off an injury. DaRon Bland, highly paid corner now coming off another injury last year. I think they've kind of invested a lot of their dollars into guys that they believe in, but are still, I don't know. I feel like when I watch a Cowboys game, all I see is DaRon Bland getting blown by. And I mean, if he's not cribbing something the other way, then he's getting blown by on the defensive end. So it's very risk reward when it comes to him and Trayvon.
I think that's fair. But the key with those two guys is elite level playmakers, right? They all make plays, but who makes the difference maker plays? And, 14 interceptions in the 2 years up to last year for Bland before he got hurt. So he was only in 7 games last year. So maybe you can say it's a wash, but again, this goes to, for everybody screaming that you pay these guys early. Why, again, you got what you wanted on this one. I don't know that I would have made the deal for DaRon Bland, because it's hard to know for a lot of guys what you're going to get post an injury and post when they get the bag. Right.
Yeah.
Look at what they haven't gotten from 7. Again, injuries play a factor in all this. So I don't know. It's Tyler. I would have hoped would be, if he's not the first one signed, then he's damn sure close to being the second one. Like,
I think
that guy's the guy you sign early
100%.
To me, right? There's no ifs, ands, or buts. That's going to be money well spent. Everything about that guy, you want that guy in your team from now until he can't play anymore.
We love linemen on this podcast.
Yes,
I just don't I don't love that the Cowboys basically paid Trayvon and DaRon huge bags when they had one good year each. I mean, Trayvon had 10 picks in one season. Then he got paid in that offseason. DaRon Bland had 9 picks, 5 pick sixes in his second year in the league, and then his third year wasn't very good because he was injured. So I just don't love that they're paying based on past production and not the developmental side of it. I just don't love corners who have one big year and then get blown by all the time. That's just kind of my
to his credit, he had that phenomenal first year where he had 5 picks, and then he had the blow up year the next year, and he really kind of forced his way onto the field after they were dealing with some injuries. And You know, I mean, he's a really good player, but you know, it's
Is he the
why
fifth
it's why Jordan Lewis isn't here.
Is he the 5th best corner in the league?
Yeah, I don't know that I can go there.
I don't think so. Go ahead.
First of
Bob.
all, I think it's the funniest analysis ever. I don't like quarterbacks that get burned all the time.
Yeah, like just.
That's hilarious.
I mean, it's true. Do you?
I don't think anybody does. Joe Laguna says, Dak Prescott, you need to step up to the plate.
That's true.
And Jordan said, I like Matt's shirt. Can you please explain the flamingos?
That was my wife. Her mom bought me this shirt for.
Enough said.
Yeah, her mom bought me this shirt, so I'm wearing it. No, but I like flamingos. So.
But there's only one that's upside down. That's weird.
That's true.
Oh, there's this one is too.
This one too.
You know,
Okay.
I was
And this
actually
Okay.
I was born in the town of Parma, Ohio, where almost every house has one of those fake flamingos in front of
Oh,
it.
really? So you like my shirt too? All right, cool. That's what we learned today. Is that
Secretly.
Bob likes my shirt.
Secretly.
Thank you for that, Bob.
Good job, Lisa. Anyway, let's get to UTSA. So UTSA loses 42-24 in.
Damn, we spent a half hour on Micah.
I know. We're gonna move a little bit quicker through the college stuff. UTSA loses to A&M. It was 21-17 at one point, and then UTSA kind of just ran out of gas. Texas A&M's just bigger, stronger, faster, and it started showing late in that game. Shout out to Jeff Traylor and the backup quarterback Tennyson, who ran the cover play right at the end of the game. So thanks for a little bit of jingle in my pocket there, Jeff Traylor. But let's hear from the guys, because I think there was a lot of positives to take from UTSA in this game.
100%.
So let's hear from them first, and then we'll chat about it.
We're just different. I can tell. We're a more buttoned up group. We've got championship fiber. We were about the right stuff. You know, to have no pre-snap penalties at all on offense in that environment is remarkable. No turnovers. Really played hard. We were really good up front defensively, man. I was proud to see that. We got to get those are really good athletes. And when they got the ball in space, they were hard to get down. And we didn't get them down a couple times. Other than that, you know, we played about as good as we could have, honestly, man. And we just couldn't last with them.
I think Coach said it was supposed to look a certain way, and it did. You know, we really dominated those guys up front. And then when we dropped back, I got to be a little bit better, you know, from reads, throws, whatever it is. So, like you said, really, really proud of how we ran the ball. Got to be a little better from my end, though.
They probably came in the game thinking we was going to be just a little pushover, you know what I'm saying? I think we shocked them. Man, we got a lot of dogs. Like, it's a lot of young guys on the team, but I feel like the older guys pulling the younger guys and everybody grinding together. So we're gonna be a great team.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they showed a lot of heart, a lot of effort, and you can tell the difference in this UTSA team compared to last year. Last year's UTSA team got destroyed by A&M, got destroyed by Texas by Texas and Texas State, because they couldn't last up front. Their defensive line got pushed around, even though it had a bunch of NFL practice squad players on it, with Joe Evans and all them, and Jamori Robinson. And then their offensive line just could not get any push. They couldn't run the ball to save their lives last year. This year, Robert Henry had 170 yards through 1 minute in the third quarter. Like, he was dominating them because they were getting push up front, and he was seeing the holes in the defense before those holes could close. So you just look at how they competed, and the fact that they were down only 4 points in the third quarter against a 19th ranked A&M team who's really, really good and has a lot of money on those offensive and defensive lines. And I think you look at how UTSA performed, and you're like, wow, this team is just head and shoulders above where they were last year.
I was really impressed, and quite frankly, my jaw was on the ground because their offensive line played bully ball. And, you know, we talked about this last week where, you know, you were at the luncheon, you walked around. I mean, I'm not saying they're NFL players. They've got NFL-sized bodies in that room, fit, trim, big frame, wide hips, all that. And it really, really showed. I mean, I don't know that they necessarily wore down in terms of, you know, A&M was so much bigger and faster. I think they may have worn down because A&M's got more of those type of dudes than UTSA has. But 11 on 11, I mean, you talk about a running back, Henry. This guy is outrunning SEC DBs on that long run. I mean, that ain't no joke, dude. I mean, the way they were, not only him running the ball, but yeah, some of those holes were unbelievably large, and the creases that they were creating, I was just really, really floored. Where I was disappointed was once A&M figured out how to stop the run, i.e. bringing more guys up, then I wish UTSA would have gone more to the air, right? I mean, I don't know that UTSA pivoted quick enough. When they got that to within a 1-score game and got a stop, I kind of wish they would have put their foot on the gas, again, hindsight being what it is, but, and then I think from there, it was just a war of attrition. And, sadly, we talked about this too, that you're going to lose some guys in a game like this because of how physical a game like this is. And then I thought, obviously we did point this out because Traylor pointed it out last week too. The difference would be on special teams, and he wasn't lying.
No, yeah. I mean, Casey Concepcion ran all over UTSA. And one punt back, it seemed like I don't know what the punt average was.
They
I
got
should have looked that up.
Yeah,
they got like 15, 20 yards on every punt return.
They got 5 stars on punt return teams and kickoff return teams.
Well, even the backup punt returner got like 10, 15 yards on every punt return. It was like, oh my God, can somebody tackle this man?
And it's because of how they block it. They've got dudes that are fast and big that can block it up.
Absolutely.
And then, so, I mean, you miss a field goal, you give up a touchdown on a kick return. That's 10 points right there. I mean, hell, damn. I mean, what more do they want to see? I think everybody's seeing this for what it is, which is look out American Conference, because here they come.
I think to that point, the American is going to be really good this year. Like Tulane looked so good against Charlotte with Jake Retzlaff, against Northwestern with Jake Retzlaff playing. Memphis looked good against Chattanooga. Navy scored like 50 points. Navy with that quarterback coming back is going to be really good.
Throwing the ball.
Huh?
Navy throwing the ball.
I know. That's what I'm saying. They were really good. North Texas won 51-0. Eric Morris has those guys pumping. Rice, with their new triple option offense, beat Louisiana. Temple looked decent again, and I know they were playing UMass, but Temple was coming back and actually might not be a doormat. South Florida killed Boise State. Like, this entire conference, top to bottom, is going to be a dogfight. So UTSA had to prove that they were better, because I think that they're going to have a really rough time with every single game being a nail biter against Tulane and Memphis and all those guys. So
yeah, I mean, I just was really impressed. Again, guys up front. I mean, I thought McCown played really well, and I think all the hype about the UTSA tight ends is those guys looked really, really a level above what A&M was rolling out there.
All right, let's get to.
Can I say one thing?
No.
All right.
Okay, go ahead.
I never like to see happy faces when you get blown out.
Yeah,
it bugs me in a big way. I mean, these guys got blown off the field and we're happy about it.
What they got blown off? They covered the point spread.
Yeah, I was going to say they covered the spread. Great teams. Great teams covered. All right.
Yep. 108,000, toughest environment in college football to play in, or at least the ones that I've seen with my own 2 eyes. That was a hell of a performance.
A lot of people, and I was going to win by 50. And so the fact that they went in there, they didn't have any pre-snap penalties. They didn't look overmatched. They didn't look like they were out-toughed or outplayed or outclassed. That's a lot of positive things to take from the game. And understandably, unfortunately, Cam Cooper goes down with the injury. He's going to be out for the entire year. So that really sucks. But they relatively healthy coming out. Let's quickly go through Texas and OSU, excuse me. Bob, you want to give us your Ohio State biased thoughts on this?
Well, I think the star of the game was Patricia, the defensive coordinator for Ohio State. He did some amazing things. He was running pro set defenses out there, and Arch Manning had no idea what was going on. He
looked completely overwhelmed.
He was completely overwhelmed. And then his whole throwing motion got crazy. I think maybe they were just in his head. I don't know what happened after that.
I like that Bob pointed that out, the throwing motion.
He looked like he was seeing ghosts out there. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's nothing wrong with, Mahomes does it all the time. I mean, you have to learn to throw from different arm angles, right? But when you see the elbow dropping, like that first play of the game, it's like he rolled out. He looked like a pro. I mean, sprint out was very, very crisp and tight, and then ended up spiking the ball because his arm slot was not in the right position. You got to be able to square your shoulders and be able to get your elbow up when you're throw like that. And I mean, I think he's going to get there at some point. I just don't know, again, to your point about being overhyped. I mean, I don't think I overhyped him. I mean, he's a kid, 21 years old, playing in front of a million gazillion people at Ohio State, tough place to play against that team. And I think where we might miss the boat is the job that, man, Texas's defense, they play like that the rest of the year. We're going to see them playing in that playoff for sure, man. Holding them dudes to
14,
just a shade over
yeah.
200 yards in their crib. Well done, Texas.
Let's hear from Sark.
All in all, like the growth throughout the game for Arch was really encouraging for me. We're going to be fine. Like I said, we got work to do as a team and as an offense. But ultimately, like I'm getting on the plane knowing we're going to be a good football team. And so, hey, we didn't win tonight. That's the life of a competitor. We went for it in a tough place against a good team. But we'll get back on the horse and we'll play good football this season.
Two quick things about this before we move on to any other takeaways from the weekend. One, it's hard not to overreact to things like this, but just during the game, I tweeted out, and I still think it's true. Yes, Arch didn't look good. Sark probably called. I think if you wanted him to call that game again, he would have been more aggressive. That was one of the most conservative, scared play calling games I've seen come from Sark. And I think he was trying to baby Arch a little bit too much. At least that's what it looked like. And Arch did not respond in the way that I think we all anticipated him responding. But going to the shoe with 105,000 people there, all the pregame hype about Lee Corso, which, by the way, thank you, Lee Corso, and the tributes before the game were gorgeous and phenomenal. Going to the shoe in your first true road game ever, that's a big ask for anybody. I mean, anybody, let alone a guy named Arch Manning, who already has the weight of the world on his shoulders. So, I mean, you look at that kind of that performance and say, oh, is he a bust? It's like, no, that was a tough place to play against a really good reigning champion team. And he's going to have better games. I mean, if this happens against Chattanooga, then okay, maybe you get worried a little bit. But it happened against Ohio State, the team that just won the national championship, going away. So
yeah, DBU
in their place,
right? All that, they got dudes, right? They got dudes on top of dudes.
They might have the two best players in the entire country, one on offense and one on defense. Caleb Downs and Jeremiah Smith. Even though Jeremiah Smith can't catch now.
Well, I'm telling you, right? And I think I said on the show, right? Maybe the best receiving core in the country. I take all that back after watching the first half. It's like, no, I mean there were a lot of drops
across the entire weekend. There was a lot of guys dropping balls. You watched the Virginia Tech game yesterday, like with drowning as quarterback, or drones as quarterback. He wasn't getting any help. Like, there was so many guys across the entire country who were just dropping easy passes, and I was like, maybe it's week one for everybody, but God, that was horrible.
I think Sark said it best about Manning, which is, and he said this months ago, we got to be patient. There's got to be a grace period and all that. I'm willing to give him grace on all those things. However, there's the other side of it too. And I get it. When you see people tweeting, he's got more commercials than he has completions. It's like, well, some of this you're inviting on yourself, right? You don't have to say yes to every commercial and then basically be the face of college football in week one and then not think that there wasn't going to be some sort of blowback, especially on social media. But man, there's a lot of vile stuff on there. That's for sure.
A couple of other takeaways. Clemson still can't score, but I was more impressed with LSU in that game. They came out and punched Clemson in the face, and their offensive line, which lost 4 guys to the NFL, was much better than I anticipated it being. Florida State looks like they're back to their old winning ways that they were 2 years ago after a direct 2-10 year that I think was just a nightmare for all of them. Even when they lost, starting when they lost in Ireland to Georgia Tech, I mean, they looked with Tommy Castellanos way better than anybody anticipated. And Kalen DeBoer's buyout, $70 million, Tuscaloosa guys. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, I mean,
$70 million to get rid of Kalen DeBoer. So you might be stuck with him for a little while.
Big size differential was measurable to me, like with Alabama, and there were guys just kind of running around, not looking like they were engaged. I mean, very, very fascinating opener for Alabama. It'll be interesting to see where they go from here after that turd in the punch bowl.
Yeah, also extremely impressed with the Big 12. The Big 12 is kind of like the American in the sense that if you told me 6 different teams won that league, I wouldn't be shocked. Iowa State looks phenomenal. Rocco Becht might be the best quarterback who's not talked about in the entire league. or in the entire country. Sam Levitt and ASU won. They didn't look great. Actually, I don't think anyone saw them not look great because ESPN Plus had a huge issue on Saturday night, so I couldn't watch any of the ASU games. So F ESPN Plus.
That's why you have to go to Twin Peaks.
I was working.
Oh, sorry.
I would have if I could have. But getting back to the Big 12, Baylor is going to be really good. They put up kind of a stinker against Auburn, but I think they're going to be really good. The Big 12 has a lot of horse. Utah State, or excuse me, Utah with Devin Dampier.
Tech.
Yeah, Tech killed them. I mean, that league has 5 or 6 teams that can win it, and it wouldn't surprise me. So, anything else before we get out of here?
No, sir.
Bob?
Hey, Illinois looking really. I mean,
Illinois
said
did look good.
Illinois is going to surprise some people.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Illinois is in the top 10 this week now because 3 top 10 teams lost. Yeah. I mean, Texas will fall to like 8. Yeah. Anyway, I'm excited to watch. I'm excited to watch that the UNC game tonight. Bill Belichick in his college debut.
I'm on pins and needles.
Oh, you don't care? Don't you want to see what his girlfriend does?
Nope. I don't.
Is she calling plays?
You know they trademarked the Gold Digger, right?
Yeah. They trademarked a lot of stuff.
I just want to watch football. I mean, no, I don't need all this sideshow stuff.
All right, Friday we're gonna get all
bitter old man table for one.
Friday, excuse me, not Friday. Thursday, we got a full football show with week 1 of the NFL coming up. The Cowboys play the Eagles on Thursday night, so we'll preview that. Plus, we'll do all of our high school previews on Thursday as well. Remember, download, rate, review, subscribe, give us a 5-star rating, tell a friend, tell an enemy. We'll be back on Thursday with all that. We'll see you then.